My name is Charles Stephen Lee, and I was raised in a small town in Temple, Georgia. I graduated from college in 1967 is when I went into the service. When I first got in, we were receiving quite a bit of artillery fire, and we would get it for long periods, for several days, and you'd get it during the day and at night. At the time, I found out that the lady that I'd married was having an affair on me, and so it really messed me up quite a bit. So I got in my mind, if something happens to me, she'd be ashamed that she had done that. But so I went out on every mission because I just wasn't thinking straight. I came home in June of 1969. All of us guys got on that plane. All of a sudden, when the plane started rolling, it started getting quiet. It wasn't a word said, but boy, the second that plane lifted off, the whole plane just erupted. Everybody was clapping and hollering, and we were high-fiving everybody, and it was a time that you'll always remember because we were going home. I didn't understand why they were so angry with us. There was a lot of hollering at us and cussing us and stuff like that. My own family had kind of didn't want to talk about it. It's just something you didn't talk about. And I had some flashbacks when I first got home, and I remember I'd had a nightmare, and I was crawling. I got out of my bed, and I thought we were under fire, and I was trying to crawl down the hallway to get to the bunker. My mother and father woke up, and it scared them. They didn't know what I was doing, and then it came to me, and I got back in bed, but there was no interest in talking about it at all from anybody. It was just, you just kept quiet. Then I went back to the University of Georgia because I got early out to work on my master's degree. And I remember I was in a place where there was thousands of students and people my age. And I was in an apartment by myself for weeks. Didn't have anybody to talk to, and finally I finally got a couple of guys, and I started rooming with them. And I remember I finally got my nerve up to ask a girl out for a date. We went to get pizza, and we were having a good time. And all of a sudden it came up that I'd been to Vietnam, and she quit talking to me. She made me take her back to the dorm right then. And that girl never spoke to me again. Now, my roommates were fine, but a lot of the school wasn't. I met my wife there, and we happened to go with a bunch of people down to Daytona Beach. And we were down there, and I remember we were walking along the beach, and we got up in a guard tower and just sat there, and we talked for a long time. And she was interested, and she was kind. And I had not experienced that. I hadn't experienced from my own family. I was so full of anger and alcoholism in particular that, I'd go to church on Sundays, but Monday through Saturday, man, I was hell on wheels. Whatever I wanted to do, how I wanted to treat my kids, my wife. I remember my wife, we'd have an argument or something, and I'd say, hey, if you don't like it, hit the door. Because I'm not going to be controlled by another woman ever again. And they had to put up for that for a long time, till I went to a Promise Keepers conference, and I started having a turn. I remember we went to one down in Atlanta, and they had taken all their boys out, and at the end of it, they brought their boys back in to meet with their father. And I remember how that touched me, that I had not been the father to my son. I had not been the father to my two daughters or my wife that I should have been. I went back home, and I apologized to them. And then later I went to another Promise Keepers in Charlotte, North Carolina. And there was a man out of Atlanta, and he was talking about how he had dishonored his wife. And he apologized to his wife and washed her feet and asked for forgiveness. And that really hit me, how I treated my wife. I couldn't wait to get home because I'd had such a change of heart and a new experience, and I just need to do something with it, and I did. And I went and got a pan of water, and I asked her to come there, and I wanted to wash her feet and ask for forgiveness. And so that kind of turned my life around. Then used to on Veterans Day or things like that, and they would ask the veterans from each branch of service to stand up or do something, and I wouldn't stand up, or I'd halfway stand up and sit down real quick. And I knew a lot of guys did that. A lot of the anger has left of the Americans. And then when I saw how it was accepting our current guys coming home and ladies, I finally got to where I could stand up and admit that I had been to Vietnam. I helped start a veterans group at our church, which is a recovery class for combat veterans. We found out that guys, when they come home, so many of them never even told their wife what they struggled with. The guys can come home with drug abuse, alcoholism, anger issues, what they saw and experienced. They're bringing that baggage home with them. The beauty of it is, it's a combat veteran talking to another combat veteran, and a combat veteran will talk to a combat veteran, where they won't talk to a counselor or somebody. So many people just want to talk and hear the gory stuff, what happened, or what, did you ever shoot anybody? Did you kill anybody? Or, junk like that. But it's just give a safe place for combat veterans to come together, to share together, and get healing. Knowing what we Vietnam veterans went through, we said, we can't allow that to happen again to our soldiers. And a lot of guys started saying, how can we come along beside our brothers and be what they need to be, what we did not get?